that you have as an actress and as an intuitive, they're being run by the same kind of generator, you know,
Totally.
and I think that you just have the power to kind of turn one on and turn one off. You know, I mean, and the other thing, too, in psychic world, I mean, I'm like kind of an old hand. I've been around for a long time. And for you, as a young woman, kind of an attractive young woman, people hate that. They don't like they don't like that. So, you know, the fact that you have this intuition, you know, people are going to hate you for it. And I kind of feel that, you know. And so it's the same thing.
You know,
as being an
Andy,
actress.
I don't feel that very much. I think, yeah, in the actress capacity, yes. I think what's different about me as an actress, even though, you know, it's a very ego-based business, and people have this belief about competition. So, like, the thing that I have that I can do that's kind of unique, that's kind of a wicked talent, is that what people don't expect, they expect me to walk in there and be totally a bitch. Pardon my French, I don't know if I can say that on air. But they expect me to be mean. Like, oh, she's pretty, she's got a lot of energy, and they expect me to come in and be mean. And I come in there, and I think maybe some of it's a defense mechanism. And my dad was really funny. My whole family's hilarious. But I come in and I miss congeniality, and that's always very disarming for people. And they're always kind of surprised, even when they open the door. I'm like, didn't you look at my website? Because my pictures are on there. But I'll open the door and they go, oh, you're young. Oh, you're pretty. Like they expect me to be the archetype of the old witch because I'm a tarot card reader and a psychic. I just laugh. I'm like, what were you expecting me to be? You know, it's very funny.
Well, I mean, I think it's when you play with those expectations. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. You know, lots of times, let's just say the most typical response to a young, highly talented, highly confident person who has a lot of intuition that looks the way you do is people hate her. And so, and the reason that I bring that up is that there's an energy associated with finding balance. And one of the things that I have to applaud you for, as your mad Uncle Finster here, is that my observation of you over the years is that in spite of everything going on around you, for the most part, you always stay very even keel, always very balanced. And that is a talent. And I want to kind of pick your brain with that a bit, because I think of all the things you offer, to me that's one of the most powerful things that you offer, is how you stay in that kind of zen. For the most part, I think there is a kind of a Megan zen. I mean, how you stay in that space, and how, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying with that, don't you? I mean, you kind of get where I'm going with this?
I do, and I love that. Thank you. That's a huge compliment. I would actually say, I think you're right about that. I think I do have kind of a Megan Zen. I love that. But the thing is, like, I'm a highly sensitive person, like highly sensitive, like most artists and most intuitives. I have inherited some of that crazy neuroticism and feeling, you know, really sensitive. Things really affect me very deeply. So because of that, and that's true for a lot of people, probably a lot of the listeners can totally relate to that, because I'm sure, you know, everybody on the line has some at least empathy, if not more, psychic gifts to open, and it can be very difficult. So what I've learned is the more sensitive you are, the more self-loving and nurturing you have to be in order to keep that even keel, or else you go off the deep end, and it's not that hard to do, especially in L.A. It has a special kind of crazy and loneliness here, not to mention all the ghosts, as Andrew lovingly calls Hollywood, Casperville. I call it Holly Weird. Yeah, it's got its own weird vibe to it, and it's very hard to stay grounded here. I've learned a lot of it has to do with cutting out what's wrong, too, not just going after what's right.
Yeah, for me in Los Angeles, you know, in the beginning, for me, it revs me up. I love it. I mean, I love it. I'm just like in the zone. And that lasts about 6 to 8 weeks. And then all of a sudden, it's different. And I don't think I'm different. I think there's a kind of a, it's like a seduction pattern almost to me. It's an interesting, there's an energy to Los Angeles that to me is unlike anything I've ever seen anyplace else. And I think it's, you know, I mean, there's a cultural bond to L.A.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's more than that. I mean, I think it really is a metaphysical. There's a lot of unhappy, I came there to be, a movie star, and I'm not. I mean, there's a lot of that there.
There's a lot of heaviness here, yeah.
There is. I mean, so that's the thing that's interesting, I mean, as because you're a very passionate woman, I mean, that's why you're good at the things you are. I mean, you have this passion, and because you have this, lots of times I think people who are super talented at a lot of different things, which is the way I see you, and that's the way I was too when I was your age, it's not so easy sometimes to focus because you absorb so much, and there's a kind of a social skill energy. I had that when I was young. You have to have it now. I think it makes it more complicated to just say, I'm a this. I'm only going to do this, because I think you want to absorb so much of it. What is that process like for you? I mean, being multi-talented and having this social, you have a social collateral, both from your personality and what you look like. I mean, I don't think that's telling you anything you don't already know, or that other people around you wouldn't see, or that they have, other people, your friends, have for themselves. But when you have that, not just, and this could be in Texas, this can be in Wisconsin, this can be in LA, it can be wherever you're at, I don't think it's so easy sometimes to sort through, the life in general. And that's one of the other things I want to give you kind of your props for, is for me, I think you do a very good job of kind of getting through the haze of what I would suspect is around you. And again, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense, and that has been one of the biggest challenges. I moved here from Austin, which to me is, I know everyone's getting mad in Austin because, oh no, there's traffic. I'm like, I laugh at it now because I live in LA. And Austinites they just have it so good that they whine about silly things. I'm like, oh, I miss it so much, It was like Disneyland all the time living in Austin. So coming to LA was a huge switch. And what I really learned here that is harder than anywhere else I've ever lived is you really have to give yourself permission to not be everybody's best friend, to not have to like everybody, and to have really, really strong boundaries. And to really, you have to kind of trust your intuition on such a high level here, because there is a lot of nasty energy around, I guess. And I don't want to give LA a bad rap, because it is a magical place, and I call it the amplifier. To LA, anything you're feeling is going to be tenfold. It just amplifies whatever, I guess it would be like in the vampire movies when people turn and then they feel everything and see everything more. It's like that. It's very intense. So it can be intensely good or it can be intensely bad, depending on where you're at. But it's really, I really have to be nope, don't like that energy. I'm just going to excuse myself now and get the heck out of here. You just can't, just sit there and take abuse from everybody. And what's funny, Andrew, is there's so many vibrational levels here that are so wildly varying. How you kind of go to Denver and people are kind of on the same vibration for the most part. Here, there's just every vibration, just so many different people, so many different vibrational levels, socioeconomic backgrounds, reasons for being here, etc. And you really can feel it, and you very quickly kind of find your own tribe when you meet them. It's oh my God, never leave me. It's just you need them so badly, to the connection, the human connection with somebody who gets it. So when you find that, it's like a wolf pack. You just know your own pack so quickly. And I think that goes for everybody, really. When you really find someone of your own tribe, you recognize them, and you kind of have to trust your gut on that. But here, it's happened so quickly, and I've outgrown circles of friends here really quickly, too. Because and places of work before I just went full-time with my business, and it's you have to be okay with releasing it, and you have to almost tell your ego to let go. Because sometimes you want validation from places you're just not going to get it, and you don't need it, really. So you kind of have to stand in your own power here, or very quickly it becomes too hard and people leave, usually in the first 2 years is what I've heard. And I made it past my 2-year LA-versary recently in August, so I've heard once you make it past 2 years, you're good.
Yeah, it's an interesting energy. I mean, I mean, New York and LA have similar things. I mean, you go 2 blocks, you have a completely different ethnic or whatever, and certainly in Brooklyn or Manhattan. But I don't think the energy shifts as dramatically. So that's what's fascinating about the difference between New York and LA. I actually, in a lot of ways, like New York better. But New York has a vibe where there's tremendous variation, and there's a cultural, like every 4 blocks is like another country in one sense.
Mm-hmm.
But in LA, it's like a different time zone. I don't know quite how to explain it. It's like
time goes faster
you go
here.
into the heavy, the heavy area, and then the light area. Like I'm on a cloud, and then I'm in the La Brea tar pits, literally. But there's a different kind of energy. Now when you throw Hollywood, Los Angeles as an enclave for actors, when you add the element of the actor, because that's your profession, into it, it gives you an extra layer of madness. And see, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, and I wanted to talk to you and Laura, is that you take young women who are intuitive, beautiful, professional models, professional actresses. There are a lot of young women in the United States and in the world who are intuitive, and they're struggling to figure out how to fit in, right? I mean, so they don't have, in one sense, they haven't mastered some of the social things that maybe you and Laura or Shauna or other friends of mine may have done. And so I think one of the things I want to talk with you about this evening, too, is for younger girls, younger women, who have this intuitive thing, and they're trying to make peace with it, and they're trying to understand the social dynamics of, people might think they're kind of weird because they're the astrology or the tarot or whatever. How did you navigate that? I mean, I had my own funkiness, as the young jock. I mean, in my time period, dear God, mine was totally weird. But for you, I know you've got something that you can help other younger girls who are kind of going through that, I mean, so if I'm a 20-year-old or 18-year-old girl, and I can kind of, this artistic but intuitive thing is percolating within me, what can you tell me to help me get through that?
Oh, man, that's a really good question. And it's a tough question to answer. It's like, how many hours have you got, But I'll do my best. So let's see, what comes up first? I would say part of it is knowing that you matter. A lot of it is just knowing that you matter. Because every actor I know has this feeling of who the heck am I to think I could, go be famous or go be a working actor. And they look at the logic of it. They look at the statistics. And everybody loves to be negative. They just love it. They think they're helping, in quotation marks, and they're like, oh, do you know how hard it is? Yes, thank you very much. You're the first person to tell me it's hard to make it in LA. You know what I mean? It's just, they love to do that. And part of it is, if you listen to the crowd, you can't pitch. You really have to, if you have a fire burning inside of you, you really have to follow what that is. Because in my belief system, the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, does not put things into your heart for absolutely no reason. It's there for a reason. That is your passion. You have to do it, or else you go to the other and you compromise and you do what you think you can have, and you always wonder and you're miserable. It's like there's a guaranteed misery, wherein if you take the risk, there's a chance you might be happy and you might be able to actually have it. There's that.
I mean, you're wise beyond your years for saying that, because the reason that people come to psychics more than any other reason is because they've been taught what they should do, and it has nothing to do with what they want to do.
Right.
And so they've been conditioned to believe they have to pick a certain safe choice,
Yeah, they do, and they want permission.
Right.
They want permission from somebody. And when I tell my clients, like, you have my permission to do what you actually want to do, their mouths just drop. It's almost overwhelming sometimes. Sometimes they'll cry because they haven't given themselves permission. It's like you need to have, you're waiting for permission from an adult still to do what you want to do. And I remind them that they are an adult now. And they just, sometimes they look at me in shock. Like, it's a little scary to know that you actually could do what you want to do. It also gives back the responsibility